The young women were laughing and chanting as they left the village. They were going to the mountains to pick berries. They lived on the Isle of Skye, a big island on the northwest coast of Scotland, an island known for its mysterious mist-covered mountains. Morag was the leader of the troop. She was so lively and made them laugh. You want to have a race to see who can pick the most berries? Oh, and what is the prize? No prize, just the glory. But although she made them laugh, she also had a serious side. And people thought that she was a seer, someone who could look into people's souls, see the future. And in her dreams, she often spoke to them about what was going to happen in their lives. They walked towards the mountains and started picking berries. And Morag picked for a while and looked around, saw that everybody was working, had their heads down. But she wanted better berries than this, and so she started to go further and further away from the group. She picked and she picked and she picked and she picked, and her basket was almost full. And then she looked up, and her friends were nowhere to be found. And just at that moment, as happens in the mountains, the weather changed. The wind, which had been a breeze, blew cold. She pulled her shawl around her, and the mist descended. She couldn't see a thing. She stood very still. She didn't want to make a mistake and step off the pathway or fall into a crevice. And then she had the strangest feeling, as if somebody was looking at her. Not somebody, somebodies. She felt she was surrounded by beings. She could feel their warm breath on her neck. And she wondered what their intention was. Suddenly the mist lifted and she saw she was surrounded by deer. And they looked as if they were trying to tell her to go in a particular direction. They nudged with their noses and they gently pushed her. And she decided not to resist because she didn't know where she was. Gradually, they brought her further down the mountain into a cave. And she saw that in the cave was an old man and an old woman. And she saw the old man was staring at a pool of water. The old woman stood up and greeted her, and she saw that she was not merely old, but she was ancient. The woman said, "We've been waiting for you, Morag, a long time." Morag was curious, but she was very tired, and the woman gave her some hot milk to drink, and she fell asleep. The next morning, Morag woke up and said, "I will help you with your chores, and then after that, I will go home." "Oh no," said the old woman, "you cannot go home now. You have to stay for a year and a day. I have much to teach you." And Morag saw that since she didn't know her way home, she did have to stay. She felt very sad to be away from her family, but thought it must be destined to be. And so she went with the old woman and learned how to milk the deer. And then she went with her to the glen and found the herbs that she used. And they put the herbs in the milk and boiled it and made a kind of cheese called crowdy. The woman handed it to the old man, and he made some figures out of it, animals, people, a house. And then he went and stood at the mouth of the cave and held his right hand out. And birds came down and picked up a piece. Falcons, wrens, and larks. "What are they doing? What is he doing?" Morag asked. "Oh, he is making dreams, and the birds are delivering them to the people who need them." The old man picked up another pile of crowdy and went and stood at the mouth of the cave again and held out his left hand. And this time ravens and crows came. "Why are they taking the crowdy?" "Oh," said the old lady, "those, I'm afraid, are the nightmares." "Oh," said Morag. "And you make dreams for the whole world here in this cave?" "That's right," she said. "That's why we're so busy and we need some help." So Morag did stay with him for a year and a day. And finally, the old woman told her, it's time to go now. And the deer will guide you home. And so the deer surrounded her once again and gently pushed and nudged her. And they went down, down, down the mountain, down towards the shore. And she could see the sea ahead and the beach, but it wasn't a beach that she'd ever seen before. She stood on the beach and watched the deer, and they were looking to something out at sea. And she looked too in the same direction and saw a boat with one person in it. And as the boat came closer, she saw it was a young man. And the boat, he landed the boat and started to walk up to her and greeted her. And she looked at him and thought, I've seen him somewhere else before. I know him, but where? Where from? And he said to her, Morag, I have seen you in my dreams every night. I'm so glad to have finally found you. And she realized that's where she had seen him too, in her dreams, and that they were meant to be together. So she climbed in the boat, and off they went back to his country. And she became queen, and he became king. And they ruled well. And Morag also shared her wisdom with the people and her stories. And they passed the wisdom from children to grandchildren to great-grandchildren. And it's probably still there.